Hi guys, welcome back to Locally Raised. It is winter here in central PA. Well, winter has come early. I was so surprised to wake up to some snow this morning. And there's a little bit of snow, sleet happening right now. It's that time of year when the garden is just fully at rest, finally. And that means I'm kind of at rest too. And I've been taking some time to think back over the past year and just reflect on the things that I've learned and what I would like to do differently. If you're new here, my name is Marta, and I'll just give you a little bit of my story so you know where all of this is coming from. I used to be a professor. I lived in Texas with my husband and kids, and I just started to feel this pull towards a season of life where I'm home more and I grow and raise some of our food. At the same time, I felt a pull towards moving into my childhood home here in Pennsylvania. So we moved across the country, and this past gardening season has been our first full season in our new home and in this new stage of life. So I've been thinking about what I would tell myself if I could go back to the beginning of this gardening season and give myself some advice about this new homesteading lifestyle. So the first thing I would tell myself if I could go back in time is to grow more low effort crops. Before I started trying to grow my family's food, I did keep a small garden, some tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers for fresh eating in the summer. So when I thought about scaling up to feed my family, those were the things that I thought about growing more of. But I now can appreciate that those are the things that take the most work. Tomatoes have to be continually harvested. So do cucumbers, so do peppers and lettuce. And these are things that take a lot of effort to preserve if you want to be able to eat outside of the gardening season. So for example, preserving tomatoes, they need to be processed into something, sauce or paste. And then often that thing is also canned. I love the things that I've canned from the tomatoes I've grown, but they definitely are the most work of the things that I could grow. Not only that, but with things like cucumbers, if I'm going to scale up my production, they become things like pickles and relishes, which I enjoy. I have them on my shelf right now, but that's not what's going to keep our bellies full over the winter. I want to grow sustenance. So I'm going to lean more into what I'm calling low effort crops. And for me, a low effort crop is one that doesn't have to be continually harvested, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to preserve. That's going to be crops like onions, garlic, potatoes, winter squash. All of these things I want to grow more of in the upcoming gardening season. I couldn't believe when I harvested a big bed of potatoes how much sustenance for my family came out of not very much effort. I planted the potatoes. Every now and then I checked for potato beetles, and then one day we dug them all up, spread them out in the garage so that they could cure for a bit, and then that's it. Sustenance for my family for months to come, and it really didn't take me that much time. The second thing I would tell myself if I could go back in time and give myself a little advice is to be systematic in managing the homestead. Like I said, in my past life, I was a professor. I had to be very diligent in the way that I managed my time and the way that I managed my workload. In this new season of life, I was really looking forward to being more relaxed with my time. But I think I went too far in the other direction. I think I had this romanticized idea in my head that in this season of life, I would wake up in the morning and go outside and pick something from the garden for lunch. And then if I was hungry for an omelet, I would go gather some eggs from the chicken and make an omelet. If you homestead on any level, you know that that's not exactly what it's like. There are 1,000 things that need to be done here on a daily basis. And even though I'm not reporting to a boss, I'm not collecting a paycheck, I don't attend meetings, I do have a job. It's probably a part-time job, but it's a job. And if I don't manage my time and my tasks, I'm forever living in the reactive mode. I lived in the reactive mode a lot this past year, having these moments where I realized, oh no, the chickens are out of food. Oh no, I haven't checked on the bees in a couple weeks and I don't know how the hive is doing. Oh shoot, I have piles of tomatoes that are rotting on the vines, and I have piles of cucumbers that are shriveling up in the fridge. I'm exaggerating a bit, but there were definitely moments where I realized things had gotten out of hand, and if I'd just been a little more proactive, they wouldn't have. So going forward, there need to be systems for when things get done. Anything that needs to happen on a daily basis, like gathering eggs, it's pretty easy to create a system for. Every day now, after I drop my daughter off at school, I'm going to come home and gather eggs. Perfect, that part's done. But the things that don't happen on a daily basis, I also need systems for, and those are the things that get away from me. For example, we feed our chickens once a week. I purposely bought a feeder that holds a week's worth of food. But then I need to decide, what day of the week do I feed my chickens, and how do I remember that that needs to happen on that day? For things that don't happen on a regular basis at all, things like planting out my onions or sowing seeds for pumpkins, those things I need to start keeping a calendar for. Before the start of this gardening season, I want to buy an actual paper planner, something I thought I wouldn't do again, and I'm gonna sit down with pencil and paper and actually sketch out what days I need to sow seeds, what days I need to plant things out. I can still be flexible. Something can happen a day early or a day late based on life, but it's so much easier to tweak a plan than it is to live without any plan. The last piece of advice that I would give to myself, the third thing that I think would make my life better, is to seek community. One of the things I didn't anticipate in this lifestyle is how isolating it could become. I'm accustomed to going to work every day. I like being around people at work. And I hadn't really thought through the fact that homesteading means all of the work you have to do is at home. And it can make it hard to get out, to see people, to be social. So I haven't figured out exactly what the answer to that is, because the truth is a lot of the work that needs to be done here. But some of the ideas that I have are to invite people over more often if I have people who are just happy to be part of our daily rhythms. Maybe we can have friends over and they can just be here while we harvest potatoes. That might be something that's nice for another stay-at-home mom with kids. Another way that I'd like to seek community is to just do more large group food preservation days. If you've watched any of my other videos, you might have seen days where we preserve corn and spaghetti sauce and applesauce with my parents and my siblings. Those are lovely days where everyone can spend time together and we still all go home with a bunch of jars for our pantry shelves or bags for the freezer. So I want to do more of that. Maybe start gathering friends for days of canning jam, or maybe gathering friends for another applesauce day. I share all of this with you because I'm excited to grow in the upcoming year, and I hope that maybe some of this information could keep others from going through some of the same difficulties that I have. But I want to be clear, I am not discouraged by this life. It is hard work. I'm not a stranger to hard work, but I will admit it was harder than I expected. So many dirty dishes, so many weeds, so many piles of food waiting to be preserved. But it has also been such a beautiful season of life. To see my kids grow up grabbing peppers from the vine and stuffing them into their mouths is unbelievably gratifying. To see food on my shelves for the winter that I know came from my backyard has been so fulfilling. I'm really glad we're doing what we're doing. And I encourage anyone who's interested in growing and raising more food to go for it, because it has added a lot of richness to our lives. Thanks for joining me and for indulging me and listening today. Please share with me, what have you learned? Has any of this resonated with you? Do you have any hopes and dreams for the upcoming year? I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you next week. Bye.